Alright, welcome back to Game Smash. As always, I'm your host, William Liberty, and with me is...
Who was Muhammad Yusuf.
And today we're going to be covering over a bunch of news. We got Last Guardian losing trademark in US, Bethesda getting a press conference for E3. We got Evolve good news and we got Evolve bad news. We've got a bunch of we got a bunch of PlayStation Vita titles. We've got Sega. Sonic Boom is not doing so good, but Alien Isolation, it's okay. And then Dissidia, the Final Fantasy game. Which Final Fantasy will you fight for? So we got a bunch. We got a bunch to talk about. But first, let's talk about what we played this week. So a couple days ago, a very important game to me came out. Monster Hunter 4 Ultimate came out. And yeah, I clocked in about 15 hours already. So I'd have to say it's pretty good. It's pretty good. I will say this: having the jumping mechanic is the best thing to ever happen to Monster Hunter ever. Like, period. It just like literally because it makes the game so much fun because there's no falling damage, right? So what they do is that there's certain places in the overworld where there are these giant cliffs. So you could theoretically jump off a cliff and do like a diving slash onto a dragon. Like,
That sounds awesome.
yeah, and these are like really tall cliffs, and it's amazing. And the aerial combat is fantastic. It's like there's a little bit of fighting game stuff, but it's like aerial combos is a new thing now, where all the weapon types do aerial combos, and oh, it's really really good. And surprisingly, I know Monster Hunter's not known for its story; it's more about the gameplay. But
Yeah.
the overall single player is definitely the best out of the entire series. It's just got like this very kind of, simple adventure tone, goofy kind of characters. I mean, they're not amazing or anything, but it's just got a nice tone to it. And since there's a lot more awesome cinematics, like like really detailed animation stuff.
Yeah.
You get to see some really cool like high budget animation every once in a while during the single player campaign. But overall, if you have a 3DS, get Monster Hunter 4 Ultimate because it is worth every penny. It is an amazing game. Multiplayer is great as well. There's no lag issues whatsoever, and it's great. Like I just love it. But yeah, I could go on about Monster Hunter 4 for a while. So I'm gonna pass it off to you. So what did you play, Fawaz?
Oh my God. Anyway, yeah. So after the Persona 5 trailer came out, I decided to dust off the old
Does
Persona 4 because funny story, I never finished that game.
Re- Are you serious?
Yeah, I'm at like 104 hours. Okay, I finished it technically. I saw the normal ending, but I've never actually seen the true ending.
Oh, you didn't get the true ending. Oh, jeez.
No,
We
so
we,
I
we
was
got to
like,
be careful what we talk about, or else we're gonna
oh,
hugely spoil the game.
oh yeah, I'm not gonna go into any details here. I haven't finished it yet, but I unlocked the final dungeon. I
Hmm.
guess part of the problem was that I didn't, and this is gonna sound really sappy, but I because I hadn't seen the true ending yet, the game wasn't over, so I did not want to see the true ending because I didn't want to say I didn't want it to end, right?
Yeah. No, I see what you mean. I see what you mean.
Yeah. And I was like, it's time to suck it up for a while. So, I said my goodbye to all the characters. And then I, shed a few tears in the process. And I unlocked the final dungeon. And I was like, I'm not going to rush it. So I'm going to take my time, clear the final dungeon. I unlocked the secret boss as well. I'm not going to
Yeah.
say who that is. But yeah, so that's what I was playing last week.
Nice. It's always good to hear more Persona. We clearly don't have enough of that on this podcast. But that's
And
it. But anyway, let's go dive into some news. So my Last Guardian hopes, they're not doing so well. So there's this thing where Last Guardian has apparently lost its trademark in the U.S. So, uh, can guys, please. I am probably the one of the few people that actually believes this game might actually come out, and you keep on dashing my hopes.
Just to I'll play the other side of the fence this
Okay.
time, and this doesn't necessarily mean that the game isn't coming out. It might mean that Sony is just rebooting the game,
Yeah.
you know. re-announced it as something brand new, so they didn't bother renewing the trademark or anything because they're just gonna change the name.
Yeah.
There is that possibility, but for me, I'm like I'd rather be pleasantly surprised than consistently disappointed. So I've already concluded that this game is never come out. So if I wake up tomorrow and Sony announces the Last Guardian release date, whatever, I'll be like, oh, cool, that's a pleasant surprise. But I'm not, I don't expect it anymore. I'm like, this game is dead.
Yeah, I honestly, I think the problem is, and this is the biggest concern I have with, because I know a little bit more about the Last Guardian's shenanigans. One, yeah. It's in the terrible situation where it's a game that got originally developed for the PS3 and then has been moved to the PS4. And most games that go through like that console switch gap usually don't do very well. And also, the main director of the game actually left the studio.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Like well, kind of. He's left the studio, but he's contracted to finish the game. So I don't know if that's affecting his work ethic or not, but I feel like that's part of the problem. Okay. And that might be a reason why this game is taking so long. So, yeah, I'm kind of with you. This game could possibly never come out, but, you know, you can always kind of have that hope, that pleasantly surprised. That's what we can go for at this point.
Pretty much.
Yeah. And then going from that, Bethesda is actually going to be having a press conference at E3 for the first time. They're going to have their own little thing. So what do you got to say about this, Fawaz?
Fallout 4 or right.
Yes.
That's all I've got to say. If I am in that press conference and it finishes and Fallout 4 does not get announced, somebody is going to die. That's all I can say.
It's like, well, what was it? Was it last year that they trolled us super hard and they announced that what was it? The Mad Max game, and everyone thought at the beginning.
Oh my god!
Oh, that was the worst.
Awful.
That was the worst.
I'm watching the trailer. I'm like, oh my god, Fallout 4. No, Mad Max. Oh my god, I don't give a shit. Seriously.
It's pretty much a movie game, and it's like, oh, why? Why would you do? Yeah.
From the press conference, we could probably, like, at this point, I don't want to say I'm 100% sure, but if they have a press conference and they know how much everyone is expecting Fallout 4, I cannot imagine that they don't have Fallout 4 coming for us. Mm-hmm. I mean, for the safety of everybody involved, they better have Fallout 4 at that press conference. But there's probably going to be Dishonored 2 there, because Dishonored did very well. It sold really well for them, and they pretty much said that they were going to turn this into a franchise.
Yeah.
We're probably going to get some Elder Scrolls Online shit, and then maybe Prey 2 will come back.
Maybe one day.
Maybe. Yeah, but I don't care. I'm gonna watch that press conference, and the moment they announce Fallout 4, I'm shutting it down because that's all I'm watching that press conference for.
Yeah, I mean, like, I think it's kind of good. I think the reason why I'm really hoping for Fallout 4 is that I think I think we're okay with Elder Scrolls at this point. Like, we got Skyrim, which was great. And then they made the Elder Scrolls Online, which was okay. But we had two Elder Scrolls games back to back. So yeah, I think we're good. I think we're good with Elder Scrolls for a bit. Let's get back to Fallout, and because I miss that. I miss the Wastelands. I want to go back to the Wastelands, man.
Like, for God's sake, it's been what, 8 years?
I think the last Fallout game came out in 2010, so it's been 5 years technically.
Okay.
Because Fallout New Vegas, New Vegas came out in 10.
You see, I didn't count New Vegas. I just count Fallout 3.
Okay, then it's it probably is 7 years.
Yeah, I didn't acknowledge the existence of New Vegas. Thanks for reminding me, actually. Yeah, it's time. It's time for a new Fallout.
Yeah. So I think this is a good thing, and because it will allow them to announce probably a bunch of other games that maybe wouldn't be announced at E3 if they didn't have their own conference. You know what I mean?
Yeah, hopefully some new IPs too. I don't mind that either.
Yeah. So, but yeah, that's just looking forward to E3. It seems like this year's going to be even better. Who knows? So, moving on from that, we've got Evolve good news and Evolve bad news. So, let's start with the good news. So, Evolve launched, its servers launched without a hitch. Pretty much no problems, no, post-launch shenanigans. It seems like it did relatively good. So what do you think about this?
Well, it reflects poorly on the state of the industry when people are commenting on how your game works when it launches.
It's like, oh my god, did you hear? Evolve actually works.
like the fact that this is making news just goes to show how bad of a year 2015 was.
2014
but,
was, yeah.
But they deserve credit. They delayed their game from Christmas. They missed out on the Christmas rush because they wanted to put extra time into polishing up the game. And just judging from the response at launch, that time has paid off because as much there have been a lot of complaints which we're about to get to.
Yeah. Well, also that's interesting that you talk about the Christmas launch. Honestly, if they had launched at Christmas, that would have been even worse because it means everyone's off for the holidays and everyone's going to be playing at the same time. Yeah. Whereas this, we're back in, school season and whatnot, so it means that the amount of people that are going to log on day one is going to be definitely lower than what it could have been. So that's always good because like we talked about, like when GTA 5 got went online, everyone jumped online at once and broke the servers completely in half. So yeah, so it's good to hear. It's good to hear that the servers are doing well and the multiplayer is overall relatively stable. But now we got to go to the bad news. So DLC prices. Oh boy. So, Evolve has a lot of DLC. Like, it has a lot. It has about 24 skins, I think, for characters and whatnot.
24 for the hunters, and I think 9 for the monsters. So that's, 33 altogether?
Now, the skins on their own cost about like $1.99 to $2.99. And you can get them in bundles for heavier prices, but if you want all the DLC, it's going to cost you about $70 to $60. And that's a really kind of like not great number because when you think about it, you're essentially buying the game twice.
This is true.
And that's not great. Now, the one thing I will say is that if you just want one particular skin, that's fine. Yeah. Like, I'm fine with that. Like $2, that's not too bad. Like, I've seen way more outrageous prices for skins and whatnot. Yeah. Like, but overall, it's like, I kind of feel like even though the prices on some of this DLC are okay, I just think this is like a really heavy amount of DLC, like right from the get-go.
This is true. Like, but at first I was on that train. I was like, wow, this is some bullshit, right? Mm-hmm. But I thought about, there were a couple of things that I thought about that changed my stance on it a little bit. Okay. First of all, is that this is all cosmetic. Like all of it is cosmetic, so it has no effect on the gameplay, right? Yeah. Like Little Big Planet never gets criticized for. Little Big Planet has close to $200 in cosmetic DLC. Like right before this podcast, I scrolled through the marketplace, and there's close to $200 of cosmetic DLC. And I mean, sure, it was released incrementally. A new movie comes out, they release DLC for that. But at the end of the day, it's cosmetic DLC. The same as Evolve. Another thing. And this is something that I read an article about recently. Another thing that a lot of us are ignoring is that development prices have gone up, right? Yes. But the price for video games have not.
Yeah, I can see. Okay, I see where you're going.
So something's got to give at some point. You feel me? Yeah. And it's so I feel like the cosmetic DLC is a way for developers to kind of make back some of that, a way for publishers, because the money isn't a way for publishers to kind of make back some of that money that they might lose because $60 per gamer is a stretch now, Yeah. And one last thing, and this is just in terms of DLC in general. Back in the day when a game launched, that was it.
Yeah, that was pretty much it. When you think, like, I want to say, when you think about the games that came out in around 2000s, stuff like that, stuff on the PlayStation 2 or Xbox, like the early days, like it was, that was basically it. You bought your game, and that what was on the disc was what was on the disc.
Yeah, But here's the thing, though, is that because of that, a lot of developers had to lay off. They had to lay off workers because they didn't have enough work to
Yeah.
keep all these people busy. But now with stuff like post launch, and this is post launch. This is in regards to post launch DLC, as opposed to day one DLC. But now with post launch DLC, you've got things to keep your team busy. So it keeps, I don't think it's as bad as a lot of us think it is.
Yeah, I can see that. Like, but the thing that for me is like, as far as DLC, it's like if they had, instead of released like all of these skins at once and did it maybe a little bit more incrementally,
Yeah.
I would have been a little bit okay with that. You know what I mean? I
Yeah.
preferred that method because it says, okay, there's 10 pieces of DLC out right now. If I need to get it, I'll get it. But, it's sort of like, I feel like slowly adding DLC over time, because that's
Yeah.
what I liked about Little Big Planet, is that when it got launched, it didn't have a whole lot of DLC, and it was just like, hey, you want to give incentive to put the disc back in the PS3, here's a new DLC clump, and they would do that every couple weeks. I prefer that method than just dumping 60 pieces of DLC or like something like that almost immediately. You know what I mean?
No, I feel you.
Yeah.
I feel you.
But I do understand what you mean, though. It does definitely help the developers, and it does help, keep keep them in business for sure.
Yeah, because another game, Guilty Gear.
Yeah.
Guilty Gear Xrd has a lot, because there's alternate colors, not even alternate costumes, alternate colors
Yeah.
for the entire cast, and then there's system voices. So what it is that how at the start of every game it's like round one, fights, right?
Yeah.
You can change the voice of the person who says that to each individual character.
Right.
But you have to pay money for each individual character. I didn't do the math, but the DLC, the extra DLC on Guilty Gear Xrd is like $50.
Yeah. Well, like
The game's $20 right now on PSN.
Yeah. But that's what I mean. This is the difference between like cosmetic DLC and gameplay DLC. Like,
Yeah.
This
So,
is
like, I
stuff
feel
like if you saw this and you were like, I couldn't give two shits about it, then it's like, well, there you go. You don't have to worry about it. You can just
Yeah.
buy the game and just have what's on the disc.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah.
Exactly.
And
Because for
I'll let you go. I keep on cutting you off there.
that awkward. But yeah, because like for me, when I was buying Guilty Gear, I was buying it because of the 16 characters that were coming with the game.
Mm-hmm.
And the modes that were coming with the game. So when I bought the game and I was like, oh wow, there's extra colors I can buy. Okay, I didn't feel cheated because that was not what I felt that I was paying my $50 for. Had I bought the game launched with 10 characters and six of them were DLC, I would have been mad because I was like, this game was advertised with having 16 characters.
Yeah.
The game launches and then I have to pay for 6 of these characters. You feel me?
Yeah.
So the same thing with Evolve. I mean, most people didn't even know there was cosmetic. There were going to be extra costumes. Another thing that we haven't mentioned is that there are unlockable costumes in the game.
Yeah, there's some that you can just get by playing the game. Like, you don't have to buy.
Yeah, but then the extra ones you have to pay for. So you know what? I don't mind, honestly. I don't mind. I'm more upset that the new monster costs $15 than anything else. But and there's also the fact that the maps are going to be free when they launch. So I think it's getting a little too much flack right now.
Yeah, I think in a lot of ways it is getting overblown a bit. But yeah, I mean like this our deal pretty much is cosmetic DLC, not too bad, but anything like that takes out of the gameplay experience, not that great.
Yeah.
Not that great.
Yeah.
But moving on from that, good news for was a bunch of PlayStation Vita titles just got announced. So we're gonna go through the list because we got a bunch. And so first up, Orishika Tainted Bloodlines. So there's that. Jungle Rumble. The one that you've been waiting for, Hotline Miami 2. Helldiver. We got Shovel Knight, Tokiden, Oli Oli 2, and Titan Souls. So there we go. We got the huge list. So what do you think of this list of games that they've announced? They all seem pretty good.
Yeah, I'm excited. Like 2014 was horrendous for the Vita. I did not buy a single game in 2014 for my Vita. It was awful. So like 2015 is already looking better. I'm not going to talk about all these games because there's a lot of them here.
Yeah.
I looked up Oreshika. It's like a turn-based RPG, but the thing is that your characters die, like
Yeah.
they age and then they die. So you gotta
You kind of have to
reproduce.
manage them, and
No, not that. You gotta reproduce. So you have kids that take up,
Oh.
tainted blood.
Oh yeah, yeah. That actually, the whole having kids thing. That sounds like kind of Fire Emblem-ish.
Oh,
in a
okay.
way.
I didn't know you could do that in Fire Emblem.
Yeah, and my friend just bought Fire Emblem, and how that game works is that depending on which party members you use in that game that get close and start relationships, their kin is kind of created down the story. They kind of continue down the story with their kin and stuff like that. So
Okay.
there's kind of a breeding aspect in that game.
Breeding.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, you know what? I gotta think of a different word than that because it sounds kind of creepy.
Just a little.
Just a little.
But yeah, so there's that. I'm gonna keep my eye on that. I couldn't find too much gameplay, but we'll see. We'll
Yeah.
see. And then there's a big one, Hotline Miami 2. I don't really need to talk about that anymore. March 10th, can't wait for it. Now, a pleasant surprise on this list was Helldivers. I've known about Helldivers for a while. It was one of the games I was gonna pick up in 2014, but then it didn't come out.
Right.
So they announced a release date for it on the 13th. Actually, it's dropping on the 3rd of March in the US and on the 4th in Europe.
Yeah, yeah.
So what Helldivers is, I don't know if you know Magica.
Yeah, I know Magica.
Yeah. So it's the same dudes that made Magica. It's got the same sense of humor and everything, and it's got another thing that made Magica really popular, which is Friendly Fire.
Yeah. I miss Friendly Fire. Sometimes it's good to have.
So yeah, what the game is it's 4-player co-op. You're part of this squad. You go to a planet and you have different objectives. The missions that I saw, you have an objective like you go to a certain part on the map and you activate like a beacon. You protect the beacon and then you go for pickup on the map. The game is hard.
Yeah.
When you start out the match, you pick your loadouts and you have these things called whatever, they're like perks. Let's just go with that.
Yeah, exactly.
You input there are some perks that are universal, like there's a respawn perk. You throw it down, and then a clock starts. And whoever dies respawns when that clock runs out, and whoever is still alive has to stay alive. If you die before that clock runs out, everybody, y'all stay dead. And then the respawn thing has a cooldown. But then there's other stuff like you can call down airstrikes, you can call in mechs, you can call down special weapons, and it's pretty cool. It's pretty cool, and it's 4-player co-op. It's cross-play across the PS3, the Vita, and the PS4.
Yeah, wow, there you go.
There's no mention of cross-buy yet, so I'm gonna assume it's not cross-buy. But yeah, I'm really excited for this game. It's difficult.
Yeah.
So, oh my God, I was watching the gameplay video and they just kept getting murdered. Like, this is one of the only games I have ever seen where they did not finish the gameplay demo.
They just said, nope, yep, we're done. We're done.
Yeah, like after half an hour of just dying, they were like, yep, that's enough for one day.
That's actually kind of amazing, where it's like, here's the gameplay demo. We couldn't fucking beat it. Yeah, we don't care. We don't care. Our goal is to make sure you never beat it.
So I'm excited for that. And then Shovel Knight, when I found out it was coming to the Vita, I started watching some gameplay videos. It's I think most people know about Shovel Knight at this point. It's like all the big names of our childhood came together and had a baby, and that's Shovel Knight pretty much. So Tokiden is a Monster Hunter clone.
Pretty much.
So I'm just gonna I'll check it out, but I'm probably not gonna get it.
Yeah.
Titan Souls, that's another game
Yes.
I'd like to talk about real quick. So Titan Souls is like a cross between Shadow of the Colossus and The Legend of Zelda.
Fighting these
Link
big
to the
bosses.
Past. There we go.
Yeah. Kind of top view, but you're fighting these big, boss-like creatures.
Yeah. It's you have a bow and arrow, and from the gameplay videos I saw, that was all you had. I don't know if you can get more down the line, but that was all you had. So you shoot your arrows, and then you don't have infinite arrows. You have to go pick them back up. The bosses are all very unique. Like one boss I saw, it was a giant blob with a heart in it, right?
Yeah.
And when you shot the blob, it split into two. One had the heart in it, and one didn't.
Yeah.
You have to keep hitting the one with the heart, and each time you hit it, it split, right?
Right.
But if you hit the ones without the heart, they just split, but you're not doing damage to the boss, so you're just making your life more difficult.
Right.
It's so it looks like a very very nice game for the Vita, because I can just pop the game in, try to beat a boss on my way to work, and then
those
so
pick up and play games, like stuff like
exactly. I'm really excited for it. No release date yet, but it was in the promo, so hopefully it's coming in the spring.
Yeah. Hopefully soon. But overall, I think this was a pretty good list of games that they announced, and it shows that they are at least trying for the Vita.
Yeah. They're all ports, but you know what? Beggars can't be choosers.
Exactly.
They're either ports or multi-platform, but beggars can't be choosers.
Yeah, exactly. Like, I think Shovel Knight is pretty much going to be for everything at this point.
Probably.
It's probably Shovel Knight for the Ouya eventually. Yeah, there you go. I don't think a single person listening knows what an Ouya is. All right, and moving on from that, so Sega, yeah, we got to talk. So Sonic Boom. So Sonic Boom got released last year. Sonic Boom may be probably one of the worst Sonic games released. Probably. Because it got released, it's super broken, it's clunky, it doesn't work very well, and it didn't sell very well.
Nope.
So it was pretty bad. It was pretty bad for Sega. But here's my question I gotta ask you, Fawaz. Do you think Sonic Boom is worse than Sonic 06?
Wow, that's a tough one.
This is a tough one.
I think I would say Sonic. Okay, at least personally, I'd say it is worse than Sonic 06 because with Sonic Boom, there was this whole they've rebranded Sonic. They had a bunch of redesigns. They had a TV show coming out to coincide with the game launch. Mm-hmm. So for me, anyway, I had hope. I actually had hope that this game would be, a breath of fresh air for the blue blur.
Yeah.
But this, people keep saying that this game is the final nail in the coffin, and it just never happens. But I think we're getting.
I think we've been through a couple of final nails in that particular coffin.
It's painful to watch because Sega and Sonic used to be neck and neck with Nintendo. It's hard to remember now because it was so long ago. But Sonic used to be neck and neck with Mario. Yes. And now look at him.
He's you know what he is? He's just like the champ that just he had the slump and now he's just an alcoholic.
Pretty much. Yeah. And it breaks my heart, man. Yeah. Seriously. It breaks my heart to see what's
But for me, and you may be surprised at this, I'm actually gonna disagree with you in a little bit. I actually think Sonic 06 is a way worse game than Sonic Boom. For a couple reasons. One, Sonic, for me, the color palette is okay in Sonic Boom, but I think the color palettes are way worse in Sonic 06. And especially the design choices. At least in Sonic Boom, there wasn't a scene where fucking Sonic made out with an anime princess.
Yeah.
At least Robotnik didn't look like an old man, Japanese villain. You know what I mean? It's those things make me just want to rip my eyeballs out when I see that. When I was watching Sonic Boom, I was like, oh, this is bad. But it didn't match the fury I had when I was watching Sonic 06.
You know what? I'll give you. You know what? I'll concede that. To you.
And the one thing
I forgot about the hedgehog girl relationship, probably because I wanted to forget about
I think a lot of people pretend that
thanks for reminding me, Tanner. Yeah. But yeah, I'll have to give you this one.
And for me, the one thing I will say is that, the thing about Sonic Boom is the game is horrible, but you know what? The show that got created with it, it's not that bad. I think it's an okay show. I've actually watched an episode, and it's a typical kid animated show, but I think it's all right, and at least it's not that level of oh god, why is Sonic making out with her? Oh jeez, oh no. So basically, this is another one of those situations where it's this game got released really broken, and you know what the sad thing is they were doing okay for a while because they released Sonic Colors.
Yeah.
And Sonic Colors is actually pretty good. Sonic Colors was was pretty good. It kind of had a different take on the Sonic series, and that was tolerable. Whereas this just wasn't. Like, it really wasn't. But Sega did a little bit better with a different game. Alien Isolation is actually doing a lot better overall because one, at least Isolation is better than Colonial Marines in almost every aspect. It's not broken like Colonial Marines.
It'd be hard to be worse than Colonial Marines.
Yeah, it really would be hard. I mean, at the end of the day, Alien Isolation is average. It's not terrible, but it's also kind of, it's kind of just okay. It doesn't have that level of bad that Colonial Marines had, and it's just okay. And, I feel like Sega's been kind of hitting and missing with a lot of their games lately, and some of them have been missing really, really bad. Yeah.
Lately?
Oh, for a while. Yeah.
Sega has been missing with their games for the past decade. But let's not even get into that. Please continue.
Yeah, but for me, it's I will always have a special place in my heart for Sonic because Sonic 2 was the first video game I ever played.
Oh.
And I love Sonic 2, and even to this day, I still love Sonic 2. So it does make me sad that this series went the direction that it did. But maybe one day we'll get an actual good Sonic game, really, really back to Sonic 2 level good.
Yeah.
Because I don't think we will ever see another Sonic 2. I don't think we ever will. No. But, and then finally, last bit of news, Dissidia Final Fantasy game. It's sort of like a Final Fantasy fighting game. You get to choose characters from over the different series. And there's all these different... They announced a couple different characters and game modes. But it seems like it's probably going to be in Japan for a while before it makes its way over to, the U.S. But what do you think of what you saw so far?
It looks cool. I remember how when we were talking about Pokken Tournament, I was like, gosh, I wish someone would make a multi-platform fighting game that uses the same arena type system.
Yeah.
Well, someone did.
Yeah.
So,
you're getting more. So so there you go.
I'm intrigued. It's a very interesting fighting. I've never played a game that uses that kind of arena style fighting system, so I'm keeping my eye on that. But like you said, it might never even come stateside, so there's no point getting excited for a game I might never be able to play.
Yeah.
But from what I saw, it looks good.
Yeah, and it's interesting, and you got a couple of classic characters. You got to have your Cloud from FF7, stuff like that. I was a little not happy to see Lightning appear, but I think there's no way that she wouldn't at this point.
Why do you hate her so much?
It's what it is? It's the lack of emotion. It's the pure lack of emotion. And I think that
because Cloud was so emotional.
Well, I was about to say that. Is that the reason why I think Cloud, honestly, I don't think is that great either. But Cloud worked better during the 90s. With the kind of emo character. That made more sense. In 2010, no. That doesn't make sense. And especially since a lot of the character writing for video games has gotten a whole lot better, to see that this emotionless husk of a character just be the showcase of 3 different games. Not 1, not 2, but 3. I think the only thing I'm excited for about her being in this game is that now I can beat the shit out of her. So, there's that. But yeah, I don't know. I will just never like Lightning at this point.
Oh my God. It's not Lightning the Titus, I'll always say.
Exactly. But anyway, on that lovely note, I think we're gonna wrap. I think we're gonna wrap it up here. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and comment. And if you leave a comment in the comment section, we'll be sure to answer it in the next podcast. And as always, this was William Liberty and
Who was Muhammad Yusuf.
And we'll be seeing you guys next time. Take care.